Okay, welcome to Podnutz Daily for June 12th, 2008. How's everybody doing out there? Okay, here we go. Let's get into it. HP desktop today. This computer powered on, but it kept rebooting at BIOS. In other words, we'd see the HP flash screen come up, and as soon as the flash screen went away, screen went black for about a second, and then the computer kept rebooting right into that point. Now, it wouldn't even. I was going to go into setup, so I hit F2 as I saw the flash screen to go into setup, maybe to try to set the BIOS defaults. Maybe somebody had set a crazy BIOS setting, and it wasn't even allowing the computer to see the hard drive or anything like that. So, tried to get into setup. Even as I tried to get into setup, when I saw the flash screen, as soon as that second was up, it kept rebooting itself. So I couldn't even get into BIOS setup. So there's definitely a problem there if you can't even get into that. That's like motherboard problem or BIOS problem. Hoping it was a BIOS problem, I decided to reset the BIOS. And what I did, how you do that basically is pretty easy. And I'm not talking about flashing the BIOS. I'm just talking about resetting it. You unplug the power. I talked about this maybe in the beginning of the week, earlier in the week, but I'll just go over it again real quick. Unplug the power from the back of the desktop and pull out the CMOS battery. Press the power button on the front of the computer to dissipate any charge that's in the circuitry of the motherboard. Then you take the jumper setting that's somewhere on the motherboard that says CMOS reset, or it's going to say something like that on a jumper. And jump that setting over one pin, wait a couple seconds, then jump it back to its original position. Put the power back into the machine, in the back of the machine, turn it back on, and that will reset the BIOS. In this case, it worked. So now the computer was getting past the BIOS and recognizing the hard drive. The hard drive had Windows on it. But as we tried to boot into Windows, we got this error, and maybe some of you have gotten this error before in the past. It was Windows XP, and the error we got right on boot up is we didn't even get the Windows welcome screen or anything. It went right into this error. It says Windows XP could not start because the following file is missing or corrupt. Windows/system32/config/system. Now, when you get an error like that, that's usually a registry corruption. So what we did is we did a Windows registry repair, a manual Windows registry repair. And the instructions that we followed are Microsoft, support.microsoft.com. It's actually a knowledge base article 307545. I'm going to post that in the show notes. But what it basically tells you to do is, see, Windows in a directory called Windows/repair puts a copy of the registry as backup in case you ever need it, like a fresh copy. In case yours ever gets corrupted, you could take it from that folder and put it into the system32/config folder. So we did that. There's 5 files. Copied over the 5 files into the new folder, rebooted the system. The system booted into Windows. Everything worked fine. Okay, now when you do that, remember that you're taking an old registry and putting it into a newer installation of the operating system. So some things might act fishy, like what programs you have installed, or let's see, like what programs you have installed, or some of the settings that you have set up on your computer may be just totally wiped out. Like, for example, we went into the add remove programs after doing this fix, and none of his programs that were installed on his computer showed up in add remove programs. Even though those programs were actually installed, add remove programs wasn't showing it. So you got to be careful. It's quirky, but at least you could boot into the operating system and then work some repairs in from that. Okay, that was the first computer. Okay, next computer a customer brought in. He claimed it was just running slow. Well, here's what we did. It turns out the computer didn't even boot up at all. So if you get no power, no lights, no nothing, and you have everything plugged in properly, it's probably a power supply problem. It's like if you plug all your cords in, you press the power button on the front of the computer and get absolutely nothing. No fans, no power, no lights, power supply problem. So we replaced the power supply, and at least we got it up and running. But he said also his computer was running slow when it was running. We checked it out. Now, let's see. I did my normal cleanup on this computer, and I'll go over that again real quick, too. I boot into safe mode. I run SMIT fraud fix, then I run CCleaner, then I run dial-a-fix. Ran that, and then we booted back into normal mode. Now, it turns out this customer didn't even have Service Pack 2 installed. So right after I did all those fixes, I installed Service Pack 2. And then normally after that, I would run an antivirus scan, either Avast or AVG. But this customer had McAfee on there, and we tried to call him to see if he wanted McAfee off of there, but we couldn't get a hold of him, so we just kept McAfee on there for the time being. Anyway, we booted up in normal mode after that, running McAfee, and the computer still ran slow as a dog. So we went into the task manager. Like when your computer's running slow, go into the task manager and see what's running, which might be causing a problem. There was a lot of programs running, but the CPU usage wasn't getting maxed out at all. It was running really low, under like 10%. So it wasn't like anything was jumping out at us that needed to be fixed. I always accuse McAfee of being the problem when I see something like that. McAfee will take up a lot of system resources and memory and just suck all the speed out of your computer. So there was a program running called McShield, MCSHIELD.exe, and that ran every once in a while. And it wasn't maxing out the processor, but it was running, causing like an 8% increase or a 4% increase at times. So I figured it couldn't be that. But I still had a sneaking suspicion it was McAfee in some way. It turns out it wasn't McAfee. I actually uninstalled McAfee because I got a hold of the customer. I told him I wanted to put AVG on there, and he was fine with that. Here's what I recommend to the customers for antivirus. If you have kids running around, jumping on the internet, teenagers in the house, or you know that your own internet habits aren't the most clean, you might want to have an overprotective antivirus or security suite like Norton or McAfee. Even though it slows down your system, it might give you the extra protection you need when you're going like a little overboard on your internet surfing. I think it has saved a lot of people in that respect. But if you know that you go to trusted sites and you're not all over the place, then I recommend a nice light antivirus like AVG or Avast, and you could run an anti-spyware program every week or so. That's what I recommend for that. For anti-spyware, I heard Spyware Doctor is good. Mitch, I think you'd like that. I heard about that from Carrie Holzman. Spyware Doctor from PC Tools or Iolo, I can't remember who makes it, is good from what I hear, but I don't use it myself personally. I guess that's the only anti-spyware I could really recommend at this point. Yeah, well, definitely SMIT fraud fix.